Hey everybody, it's Coach Dan Ryan, PMP trainer, and I'm pretty excited today to be joined by Michael McEwen, PMP from Youngstown, Ohio. And I'm very excited because Michael was originally from Long Island, New York, like myself. And Michael, why don't you say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Dan. No, great to be here. So yeah, as Dan said, I grew up in Long Island, New York, currently living in Youngstown, Ohio, and primarily in the business analytics profession, intertwined with obviously project management throughout my career. So very excited to be here, Dan. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And yours is a very interesting case study because you went through a lot of pain and suffering going for the PMP exam in some ways.
I did.
And got battered and bruised. You told a story that represented a journey I've heard before, which is people going along a path and stumbling between knowing the resources versus the timing versus the strategies to pass. And so you failed 2 times prior to passing the exam.
I did. Not proud of it, but happy to be able to tell my success story of how I got to where I am now.
All right, so let's start at the very beginning.
Yeah, so
all right, you actually went and failed the first time, but give us the reflection on that first attempt.
Yeah, so I tend to be, everybody that knows me tends to know I'm a bit of an overachiever. I feel like, not arrogant, but I feel like I'm fairly intelligent. I'm a good test taker. And having project experience, I felt as though I can do the bare minimum and still get through it. I read through the PMBOK guide. I went through some resources, and there's a ton of resources out there, training tools and practice exams and modules. And I did what I thought was enough to get by, which is not like me, but the current demands that I had on me didn't have much option. I definitely could have worked harder, but thought I was okay. And man, when I tell you 10 minutes into the exam, when I sat in the Prometric Center, when they were still open, I knew I wasn't going to pass. In fact, I knew I didn't deserve to pass out of just sheer respect for the industry and the certification itself. I knew I was ready to just walk out and throw my hands up. And it didn't matter all the experience and, the minor preparation I did. None of that mattered. I did not prepare enough. And I did not deserve to feel, but it was eye-opening, that exam, it doesn't just challenge, your knowledge of reading books and your even your practical application. You have to apply the concepts in such a way that it is extremely fluid across all situations. And that's the best part about it.
Maybe instead of fluid, I would say flexible.
Flexible is a great way to put it too.
Right? In other words, you're always willing to take a new way of looking at solving the same problem.
Right.
Most expediently for the customer.
Absolutely. And that's the
right.
name.
Now, when you sat down, though, you were shocked because, let me just guess, it was the types of questions and the difficulty of the scenarios in the questions compared to everything you practiced for.
Yeah, everything being situational, you being basically put in the seat of these scenarios that you may never have had experience with or read about. And you have to apply the same methodologies, but apply that mindset in a way where you're like, wait a minute, I don't have any experience there. How do I apply it?
Okay.
All
right. So
to not preparing enough.
So you knew right away, first one wasn't going to go well. You leave, you took that, you moved on. Now, what happens between first time and second time?
Well, I felt more confident the second time because I was more familiar with the structure and the layout, the content, like you said, the questions and how they're worded. But I knew I had to dig deeper in terms of my preparation. But the second chance, it was probably not as strong as I should have made it. I can say that I thoroughly embodied the definition of insanity by doing the same things over and over and expecting a different result. And that's
you kept reading the PMBOK. You kept doing to the same resources online, free
resources,
YouTubes, whatever.
Right.
And you didn't go, yeah, okay, so you were going for it. You had a certain level. All right. Now, come the third time, fair enough to say you went with my program, and I'm very proud. I'm not going to say you couldn't have maybe ever passed with anyone else, but please indulge me. What would you say it was that differentiated between all of those other attempts and your third attempt with me? What sort of differentiated the training methods that you did this time compared to those times?
Yeah, so, that third time going in, I knew that was my last shot before I had to get recertified, because I was audited in the beginning of the process. So I knew I would have to go through all that again. So I knew I had to take a step back and get some perspective on what am I doing wrong? What did I do wrong the first time and the second time? I knew I was doing the same things, even though I dug deeper, but something wasn't clicking. So I did even more research on the programs and found yours. I read the reviews, just like a lot of people do. And the success rate of feedback that I read was phenomenal. And having gone through even just a trial run with your program, it was clear to me that it was different and it was fresh. And the way that the content was delivered was so, and I'll use your word, it was so flexible that I felt comfortable taking the practice exams that are in your program, that are experiences that I've never been a part of. I felt confident going into that, knowing what I should do.
Good.
High level, that project management strategy is not going to change based on the industry. And you made that so clear, and the concepts were so well delivered.
Now, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
So we never met one-on-one, you or I.
No.
You just went to my regular group classes and you answered the questions. And, what did you find tactically, some of the parts of the program that hands-on wise were, I don't know, maybe helpful, maybe different than other programs, or things that you really enjoyed doing?
It was the interaction on the calls, I feel like, made the difference.
Maybe like the live polling.
The live polling was huge. Your direct input and interaction with the folks that are on there, myself included, that was priceless. That was paramount to really grasping it, because instead of being in an online environment and a module, self-paced, whatever it is, but even in some of those other live classes that I took in the past with other programs, it wasn't as
guided.
Yes, exactly. It wasn't as guided. It wasn't as
guided.
It was, here's the answer, here's why, let's move on.
Yep.
Whereas your program, you're like, no, I really want you to understand this.
Yeah. We don't move on until you get it.
That was a differentiator. Yeah.
All right, good. So now, did you do a lot more, but did you maybe you didn't do enough practice questions earlier with the earlier tests? And
right.
What about that third time? Did you boost the amount of questions you did?
I did. I went through the 700 questions plus that you have.
Yeah.
On your platform.
I'm sure you had access to some other simulators out there as well.
I did, and you know what? PMI themselves, they have sample questions on there.
Yep.
So I did go through some of those, but I really stuck with your platform. In addition to that, I would jump back and forth, and your guide, the Excel spreadsheet guide that lays out everything you need to do start to finish. I mean, you cannot get any simpler than a roadmap to where you need to go.
I did a project for the military a long time ago, and I had to create a checklist like that. And I brought it with me ever since. Everybody loves a checklist, especially a project manager.
I mean, heck, scratch your head. It's like the checklist is one of the quality assurance tools. So
that's funny.
That's I mean, what better than to apply one of the project management strategies to a program? I mean, that is just, it's one of those things it's like a new invention that it's like, well, why didn't we ever put wheels on luggage before?
Well, project management is old, so maybe we're refining a 3,000-year-old profession. All right, listen, I got a question for you.
Sure.
What was the remote experience like?
It was very comfortable, believe it or not. It was, and I went. I've obviously had both sides of the spectrum because I took it on site. I know how that was. You're in there, you're using somebody else's machine in a very quiet environment, and if it's not quiet, you have to put on the headset. You're in a controlled environment using your machine your mouse, your keyboard, and you control the noise. And the actual interface is identical to as if you were on site. So the only difference is you can't raise your hand and say, I need to take a break, but you have a structured break, you know, with after 90 questions, you got an automatic 10-minute break.
How's the whiteboard? Good.
Whiteboard, I used it just to put down some of the earned value formulas, but quite honestly, I didn't even need it.
Good.
I went through it so many times, up to and including the training session actually that day.
That's so cool. That's so funny. I can't believe it. Yeah, because now with the remote, you can get, you know, you can be studying right up to the minute you take the test, I guess.
Exactly, right.
That's funny.
It's
about
phenomenal.
Last minute.
It was a great
session.
experience. Yeah.
Congratulations, and you got good targets on all of them and everything. So
I blew away. You know, I skipped entirely over target and went into above target just after using your program, and I did, you know, approach it intensely, but I skipped right past target into above target. And
well, that's where they say, like, you know, what does it say? That's where opportunity meets good luck. Or hard work or something. I don't know. Anyway, all right. Well, listen.
Timing of finding the program was the key, and the structure, layout, and approach that you put into this. You could tell you really care about not just the program, but you know the people that you're helping out, and it really makes a difference.
All right. All right, man. No, it's true. I do. It's my everything. I love serving the people I serve, including you. So Michael McEwen from Ohio, formerly from Long Island.
That's right, neighbors.
Congratulations on being PMP, and thank you for being with me today.
I appreciate your time, Dan, as always. Thank you.
Cheers.